Hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose, especially if they're laying out the red carpet for you to get the rematch going, Spence and Crawford. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I get it. It's the whole thing about who's on what side of the street. To that I say, in the most respectful way, that I kindly request that you hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. Errol Spence is a PBC fighter, we know that. Terence Crawford is an independent contractor, we know that. But we also know that Terence Crawford is stubborn, he's used to marching to the beat of his own drum, and the king is comfortable in his own skin, and honestly, he seems to be comfortable with not getting big money fights. Crawford should have and should now sign with PBC for a 1 or 2 fight deal. I keep seeing people posting stuff. No wonder Crawford won't sign with him. He's signing his life away. He's doing this, he's doing that. Other fighters, I've seen their contracts. Oh, they can't get out of it. It's a lifetime deal, a 360 deal like in hip hop. To that I say, in the most respectful way, that I kindly request that you hold your horses, stop getting out the shower to take a piss, and quit taking it to the stupid. Now, even if there were fighters who got screwed in their contracts over there with Al Heyman, the advisor, the manager, the promoter, the motherfucker working as a janitor, working as a doctor, a plumber. You sure Al Heyman ain't Jamaican? Anyway, Crawford doesn't mean Crawford gonna get screwed by signing a contract with those guys in a multiple fight deal. Crawford has smart people there behind him who are gonna sit there, man, and carefully scrutinize that contract, fine-tooth comb it, to make sure that he doesn't get no Vaseline, Ice Cube NWA. He's not gonna let that happen. So for those of you who are saying that, I gotta tell you, man, you do your due diligence. Get up on things. Y'all think Crawford's stupid? This man didn't get to the point to where he got in boxing being dumb. He learned his lesson messing around out there with Top Rank, who did a great job with Crawford. But there were some things Crawford could have done better. Just like right now, there's still some things he can do better. But the bottom line with Terence Crawford, in my opinion, he got to figure it out. Because Errol Spence, let me tell you something. Errol Spence has everything laid out for him already. Crawford or no Crawford. Errol Spence returns to Dallas, sells out 80, 90,000. Errol Spence makes a 20 million. The tickets, the live gate pay-per-view, people want to see Errol Spence. They got to figure it out. Because if they're both going to 154 pounds, it's wide open right now. It's wide open. Let me show you something, right? This is what's really going on here, right? Let me expand this a little bit. When you look at these names right here, at 154, there's nothing excited about these guys except for Timzu. Fundora, he's going to fight. But really, these other guys, I'm not saying they're not good fighters. They're good fighters. But what sounds better? Madrimov Lubin, Madrimov Spence, Madrimov Crawford, Bahachuk Spence, Bahachuk Lubin, Bahachuk Crawford? Or how about this? Crawford versus Spence, the rematch. You see how that works out? That shit has a nice ring to it. But when you look at what's going on here, it's wide open. There's nothing going on, man. And nobody really wants to see any of this. The sanctioning bodies, it's like I said in another video, I think they're going to lift this WBO belt and WBC belt off of Fundora and make him champion in recess. And when they do that, then Bohachuk's going to probably sit there and say, well, hey, I need to fight for that vacant strap. And that he could create a bit of an issue if Errol Spence or Crawford. Now, Crawford is going the WBO route. But for Errol Spence, he could run into a little bit of an issue. Because if he's like, well, I want to go up and fight Crawford, but if for some reason that fight can't be made, now Errol Spence, and he's trying to challenge for that WBC strap, he may have to fight Sergey Bahachuk. But the bottom line is, I can see Bahachuk getting dusted to the side the same way they did Stanley Eunice down there at the goddamn WBA. Stanley Eunice got shown no love. He got in there and went in that mashup crash up with Buteyev, and then his ass went missing, didn't he? I know he had some medical issues, but bottom line is his ass is MIA. he probably somewhere on the Ho Chi Minh Trail and them little goddamn holes in the ground. But when you got Errol Spence, for him to come back, I'm sure they can sit here and put the foot to the ass of Bo Chuck and tell him to get out the way, and they can somehow make the Spence and Crawford fight. Hell, and I'm sure they would put something on the line. We know they got some people supposed to be fighting for this vacant IBF title, but the bottom line is, when you look at it, it's really wide open. The only area when it comes to these titles where they run into a little bit of turbulence is messing around with this guy Israel Madrimov, because he is the WBA champion. But outside of all of this, when people keep asking me, hey, Hood Champion, so what do you think about, hold on one second here. What do you think about if Crawford and Spence can't make the fight? What do you think about this guy right here, Jermell Charlo? Well, Jermell Charlo's alive. He's a live dog in the fight, man. He just got to decide on what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? But the bottom line is, the division's wide open. And if they want some excitement, why not? And I think this is going to happen. You know, we can just sit back, see how it plays out, lift them belts off Fundora, and have Crawford and Spence fight for, if not one, both. But figure it out. They need to figure it out. And people are going to sit here and start raising hell. But this thing about the other side of the street, I mean, you know what? I have to ask the question when it comes to Crawford, man. You know, what's he thinking sometimes? I know he does what he wants to do. But when you look at the fact that he went and fought Spence, first of all, he was fighting Spence. That's why Crawford made so much money. If Crawford would have gone to PBC and just fought anybody, he wouldn't have made the kind of money that he made. So when people are saying, look, the first fight on PBC, Crawford made all this money. Yeah, he did, but PBC had something to do with it. But what they had to do with it was that they had Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? So if he goes back over there to PBC to fight, I think he can make some money. I do think he can make some money with PBC. But they may want him to fight somebody else. You got to understand, man, PBC and these guys are running the business. Errol Spence is one of the flagship fighters. They can't just throw Errol Spence back in there with Terence Crawford, especially after Terence Crawford almost killed the man in the ring. Legally. You know what I'm saying? So, if they're going to do something, do it at 154. And just go ahead and make the rematch, because I don't know if in fact, Crawford and Spence are really looking to get back in the ring for Crawford to prove, you know what, I'm better. For Spence to say, no, that was a fluke. But also to make 20, 30 million, right? I don't know where else these guys can go to make that kind of money. But I do think Errol Spence is in a much better, he's postured a lot better than Crawford is as far as going in a fight with just about anybody if he has a fight in Dallas to make huge money. Crawford can fight in Nebraska and he can sell it out. And Crawford may actually shock us, to be honest with you. The fact that he's two-time undisputed and what he did, those people in Nebraska who weren't coming out, shit, they may come out now. He may have tapped into a whole nother audience. So I don't know what the largest venue is up there. I don't know what the maximum capacity for these guys to have a Crawford fight, but Crawford could shock us. But the bottom line is, I think the red carpet is laid for a rematch. If they're going to do it, the time is now. Two of the biggest hitters in the division that have, and two of the belts have all been sidelined. You know, guys need to come together, try to make something happen, get the teams involved, these organizations involved, and try to fight for one, if not both of those straps. If not, fight for something. But I'm sure something can be made available for these two guys to get in the ring. But it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But I'm going to remain optimistic. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.